Oh, thank you, friend. If you post two videos back to back, it will suppress the first video rather. And then the second one kind of gets boosted. I don't know why it does that. Hey guys. So if you'll notice, like I'll have a video that like I post and I call it my sacrificial video. It tends to be like an older video. Where can we find the video about AI? I need receipts. No, guys, that's not actually happening. It's called, if you look at the top, it says conspiracy theories of the future, or conspiracy theorists of the future. It's not like it was me trying to, somebody said I love your content. Thank you so much. I appreciate you rather. But the video I just posted was me imagining and thank you for the compliment on my art. But the video I just posted was me imagining what conspiracy theories videos would be in the future. I mean, I guess it seems very convincing, but I try to put it everywhere that it's of the future. And I even put in the caption, like it's set like 100 years from now. So it's not actually happening. I don't think there's really an alpha tech company. I was going to call it Apple. But I thought that was a little too on the nose. So I just kind of pulled a company out of my butt and was just like, all right, alpha tech company. But no, it's not really happening. I guess when I'm done with this live, I'm going to have to go back and, okay, sorry guys. I'm going to go back and pin the caption. Hey guys, this is, I put on the title, it says conspiracy theories of the future, guys, of the future. And then in the caption, it says 2021. We're not in 2021. But somebody just asked, Nerd Talk just asked, like, could this be a thing in the future? We don't know. I mean, to me, if you kind of look around and you see, thank you guys, you see where our technology is evolving towards, and then you kind of see like that. I was thinking of that one lady, conspiracy catfish. In the future, I thought they're finally doing this. Okay, I don't know if it's actually happening or not, who knows, but it is meant to be like a projection of like what could be happening like 100 years from now. So I hope I clarified that enough. But so what inspired that video was a few things. Obviously I watch a lot of Doctor Who, and probably that could be a future. Like there have always been conspiracy theorists, right? And if you look at how things are right now, like particularly what inspired that video, I thought of that one lady. I don't know if you remember that one. She was like a CEO of like a DNA testing company or something like that. And she like dressed like Steve Jobs, wore the turtleneck and everything, like would like make her voice sound deeper, all of that. And then turns out like her company was bogus. So they were claiming to do something that they couldn't do just so they could make money. So I thought like, okay, so we have Neuralink, Elon Musk's company. Yeah, she ended up being a fraud. So I want to read you guys' comments because they're hilarious. I'm like, why are they gonna get them starting to get the canned goods? Yeah, so I thought about her and I imagine like, okay, in the future, right? There's going to be somebody like that, right? Who claims that they have like found consciousness, right? And they put it in like robots or whatever, and they're selling these, robots, as sentient robots. And so it's an imagination of like somebody trying to claim that robots are now sort of sentient and they have their own consciousness. And so then it kind of like, I started writing and I kind of like spiraled into like what you guys see there. And like I said, I'm really proud of that video. And that's why I'm jumping on the live, because I'm like, I don't want to like post it and it gets like 2 views. Like that would really annoy me. Like, because I haven't seen personally, I don't know about you guys, but I haven't seen anything like that, at least on TikTok, before. Yeah, well, thank you. As far as capitalism is concerned, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But there's another video that Storm. There's another video that I think I just filmed it, or like I filmed like the draft to it, and then I've got to like actually like record it, where I do sort of like make allusions to the fact that perhaps the future, hopefully anyway, may not be the way it is now. So like I said, I have hit a creativity peak right now, and I've got a lot of videos like ready to go, and I want to post them, but I want to make sure that when they're posted that you guys see them. So I guess if it means, thank you, But I guess if it means that every time I post a video, I'll do the 2 videos a day thing, and the first video I'll post, you guys are hearing it first because you guys are tuned into my live. The first video I post will probably be like a video that I call like a sacrificial video. I sacrifice the video to the algorithm. And then the second video is probably going to be the video I actually want you guys to watch. And then if it's not doing well, I will hop on my on the live and then try to get it seen. So this is something I'm trying out to see if it works. Somebody just asked if I accept ideas. I mean, sure, I'm certainly open to that. Although right now I'm really like trying to like get like all the stuff like that I've been reading. I was on vacation. If you guys remember, I was on vacation like a week or so ago, and so I just had a lot of downtime, and I started like reading because I couldn't paint. And then all this information was like in my mind. And then I just like started writing, and now I've got all these things that I want to kind of do. I commented on a million videos today, where I appreciate you, but I'm certainly open to ideas for sure. And I obviously would be like, hey, this is inspired by, F2 Nerd Talk or whatever. So absolutely open to that as well. But yeah, if Sherry, is it she the mystic? The mystic? Yeah, she the mystic. Thank you. Any sort of engagement with my content helps, because I do put a lot of thought into, my work. I mean, I'm sure everybody does, but I do as well. So many of the things you talk about have been a part of consciousness as well. Okay. Do you support LGBTQ? Yes. That's an interesting question. Why would you ask that? Do I give off a vibe that I wouldn't? Do you consider yourself to be altruistic? Altruistic in the sense of just like you doing for others without any sense of like benefit. I kind of subscribe to the school of thought that says that there's really no such thing as altruism, because everything that you do is beneficial to you, right? So even when you do good, you do good because at the end of the day, it still feels good to do good, so that's my response to that. And then She the Mystic, can you please rewrite your question? I want to answer it, but I'm not sure. Could you just rewrite it if you don't mind? Really appreciate that. So what books have I read this week? On Monday, I read Same Souls, Different Bodies, and Same Soul, Different Bodies, and it's by Weiss, I believe. If you haven't had a chance to read that book, I suggest you check it out. I actually read it twice because I liked it so much. And believe it or not, whether or not whatever you do with this information is up to you. But I talk about this on my podcast. I tend to have like ideas for things, and then like I'll say things, particularly on my podcast, or I'll even do a video, and then like months later, I will like happen across the book that inspired what I said months ago. So I'll say it again. I will say something on my podcast or TikTok, or I'll write something, and then months later, my higher self, my future self, whatever you want to call it, actually will like maneuver me to the book where I got the inspiration from before. And I say it as casually as I'm saying it, because for a lot of the times when I say it, a lot of people have a hard time kind of accepting that as truth, but it is true for me, and it is what it is. But Same Souls, Different Bodies, I just read it. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. And that has inspired a couple more videos that I will be putting out in the future as well. To do things for others, even if it's for yourself. You're still doing it, yes. Okay, sorry, it wasn't a question. I was just saying, hold on. Just saying, sorry. Oh, I appreciate you saying that you like my videos and that it resonates deeply with you. Thank you. If the future is happening now, shouldn't we only have a present? Yeah, it's all present, it's all happening now. How do we tap into future incarnations of ourselves and our future skill sets in the now? So it starts with like being like just aware, right? So the first thing, appreciate you, She the Mystic. You're awesome. Thank you. The first thing is you start by accepting that it's a possibility, right? So if you don't believe it's a possibility, then your mind kind of gets closed off to it as a possibility, and then it is, what it is. But the way I operate, like I just said, like I think a minute or two ago, please listen to my podcast. Appreciate your kindness. But like I just said, like I'm open to a lot, actually. I mean, I have an open mind. I don't let everything in, but I definitely scrutinize things and I take it in. And there's some stuff that I I don't just outright say, okay, that sounds crazy, and completely dismiss it, because, well, what do I know? And the more, the older I get, the more I realize that there's really not a lot that we know for sure. Like, a lot of the stuff we kind of believe, we're kind of coasting on bullshit. Pardon my French. I try to keep my mind open, and I've seen so many things happen in my life that, like I said, if I sat and tried to explain it to most people, because we live in a society that's largely cynical, a lot of people reject it, so it is what it is. But I can just share what happens to me. And so just keeping an open mind and listening to your intuition, that is the easiest way to connect with your future self, which is just you, right? There's a video I just recorded. It basically, I'll post it at some point in time, but it says, look, the body is spatially and temporally locked, right? The body is locked to the spatial and temporal dimensions, but consciousness is not, right? So these are two separate entities. Rene Descartes wrote about this, and I kind of expanded on that in the video that I haven't posted yet, but I will. So I guess turn on my notifications. Turn on notifications for my videos. But yeah, so being mindful of the fact that just because your body, the vehicle, is like kind of locked, in matter, and it experiences time in a linear fashion, doesn't mean that your consciousness, who you really are, your mind, whatever label you want to call it, it doesn't mean that your mind or your consciousness is also locked, right? They're two separate entities. Like I said, this is something that Rene Descartes spoke about. This is something that F.C.S. Schiller wrote about. There's a couple other guys that I can't think of right now, but one of them is a physicist and the other one is a neuroscientist, and it's in my video. Yes. And then somebody asked like how it's going to come to me when I think about them. David Bohm, I believe, was a physicist. Yes. Who kind of said the same thing. And then there is a neurologist that I'll think about, and when I think it's Pribham, they basically came to the same conclusions as well. And then somebody asked, how do you get to my podcast? Super easy. Go to anywhere the podcasts are available. They're on my YouTube as well, but I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple, I'm on Google, all of that. And then you can type in your one black friend and I'll pop up. And I look like this. Yeah, and then my other podcast is The Dark Oracle's Guide to the Multiverse, but it is not an ongoing thing. It was like I did 15 episodes. The last episode I recorded like 3 years ago at this point now, and it's kind of just an anthology. It's fixed. But the Your One Black Friend is like an ongoing thing, and I kind of delve into really like wild theories. Long story short though, link is in the bio to both of them. I'm really proud of the most recent episode that I've been putting out of Your One Black Friend, and I would implore you guys to check it out because I discuss a lot of things like with theology and things like that that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. And I'm not expecting you to accept everything that I discuss, but I do present a lot of information that when you listen to it, it sort of is mind expanding. And one of my favorite things is when I listen to a book or I read something that after I'm done reading it or researching it, I feel a part of my brain just expand a little bit. And I love that. And when I do the podcast, when I do the discussions, when I talk about it, it also like a lot of ideas come out as well in the process of me talking about these, concepts. And then of course you guys get to hear it and it's recorded. So links are in the bios for that. And then somebody asked me, how do I view time personally? And I mean, it's not really different from how like the videos on my content on my channel. That's how I see time, as it's it's an illusion. Like all of time is happening at once, and it's your consciousness that kind of moves through time, but it is all happening right now. And when you sort of look at it that way, it's the way you live life kind of changes. And then life just becomes much more like deep, much more profound, much more interesting, much more multi-layered, right? So I hope that answers your question. Now somebody just asked, like, what is my education? Okay. I studied psychology in college, and I studied psychology. That was my major. And then I minored in like anthropology. But since college, I'm self-educated since then. I think everybody should be in this day and age. I don't think you need to rely on institutions to gain knowledge. And I read, and I've explained my methods on several lives and as well as on my podcast. I read about 3 to 5 books a week. And when I say read, I use 2 apps, Audible or Voice Dream. I use Voice Dream if there's a PDF of a book that I want, but I can't find it on Audible. And what Voice Dream does is it converts PDFs into books. And I've trained my mind, I think because I have ADHD, but it's good for something. I've trained my mind to listen to books about 3 to 3.5x speed, depending on the narrator. And so I can take a book and listen to it like 2 or 3 times in a day and like literally memorize the information, or at least come close to memorizing the information. So, and I've been doing this for years. So there's a lot of information, lots of books or whatever in my head. And I actually have learned a lot more that way by kind of educating myself than anything I ever learned at uni. So, and then back to Nerd Talk's question about, hi, hey buddy, how you doing? So back to Nerd Talk's question about whether time is memory. You can look at it as that. There's actually great books, fictional. I think that you would really like Recursion by Blake Crouch, because he talks about kind of traveling through time using memories. That is a great concept. Thank you for shouting out my podcast. My weekend was great. Thank you. My day's going well. The app is Voice Dream. It's a one-time fee, but you don't have to like pay, continuously, like the subscription model, which I don't like. So yeah. And then I want to kind of finish the question about memory. So I lean more towards, thank you. It's one of my older pieces. As you can, my style has kind of changed as I've kind of gotten older, but this is like from 4 or 5 years ago. But so I used to paint a lot more bright, vivid, and I might get back to that because it's, like I like it. Thank you. And so I don't want to like miss you guys' question too. Book recommendation videos, please. I don't know if I'll do a video on book recommendations because I have like so many like videos that I need to post. Maybe I guess eventually I will. But I definitely always like shout out books on my podcast. So I'm not like, okay, I'm shamelessly plugging my podcast. And every time I do a podcast, I talk about whatever book I'm reading. In fact, actually, when I started this live, I talked about the book that I've read this week so far. And I'll say it again. So, Same Souls, Different Bodies by Brian Weiss. I would recommend you guys check it out. And I think I think you guys will enjoy a lot of the conclusions that he's come to. What is the name of my podcast? My podcast is called, actually I have 2. There's one that's an ongoing podcast. It's called Your One Black Friend. I'm laughing because I already answered the question, but I'll answer again, no worries. It's called Your One Black Friend, Your One Black Friend. You can find it everywhere. The links are in the bio. It's on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, all of that. And then my other one is called The Dark Oracle's Guide to the Multiverse, and it's basically like an anthology, 15 episodes, and that's it. The last episode I recorded was like 3 years ago, and it was just like, the premise was like, this is a simulation. So simulation hypothesis. Is there, what would happen if you sort of like happen across an in-game like guidebook, right? So it would be like audio, it would be a podcast, and it just basically explains to you like, okay, listen, we are in a simulation and this is how it works. But Your One Black Friend is more ongoing, and the last few episodes have been really profound in my opinion. So I would implore you, please check it out. But yeah, to go back to Nerd Talk's question about, is everything kind of a memory? It's like in a way it is, but also simulation, or however word you want to use for it. It is something that is occurring at one time that your consciousness can kind of go through at any point in time, and is going through at any given point in time. I hope that answers the question. Do you think humans can achieve a Starfleet mentality, United Federation, similar to Star Trek? That's a wonderful question. I don't see why not. I think that a lot of the stuff that, like a lot of the chaos that we have right now, twofold. One, we have artificial agents that stoke the flame of division within the human race. I'll say that again. There are artificial agents, for lack of better phrasing, that stoke the flame of division within the human race, right? Like you turn on the news and it's like rich versus poor, black versus white, like, women versus men. Like there were, not even just the news, just the media. We're constantly being like, poked and prodded to sort of like get to fight each other. And we're seeing that. There's also a lot of like generational ancestral trauma that we need to learn how to process as well. We as individuals need to learn how to process as well. That is all stored, in the body. And I think as we continue to grow as a species, we will eventually learn to heal ourselves, right? And unite. So absolutely. It's actually one of the reasons why I love Star Trek. Because like, first of all, it's like so ahead of its time. Especially like the original series, and it showed like, what we are and could be capable of. And I don't think it's far-fetched at all. But at some point in time, we need to get rid of these so-called artificial agents that are continuously kind of getting us, to fight each other, so that while we're fighting each other, we don't look towards them to say, hey, you guys are the problem. So there's this analogy I saw in a TikTok video. I forget the gentleman's name, but he was telling a story about if you take a bunch of different ants and you put them in a jar, they will not fight each other, right? They will sort of exist, as one, so to speak, right? They'll just kind of do their own thing. Now, if you pick up the jar and you shake it, then they attack each other. Now, is it the ants' fault that they're attacking each other? Is it the ants' fault that they attack each other, or is it the person who shook the jar? So on every day, you sort of have to pause and ask yourself, who is shaking the jar, right? In our society, you look around, you see the chaos and then the destruction and things like that. Who is shaking the jar? I saw another really cool video on TikTok. I love TikTok. At least I love the content creators on TikTok because they bring forth such really good ideas and they make them easy to sort of digest in a short amount of time. But there's another video where this lady kind of posted and she said, this is what the future would have been like, had like General Motors or whatever not kind of did what they did. So apparently, like back when cars were invented, we had actually we as in the United States had a pretty good public transportation system. And then because, I believe it was General Motors, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of those car companies wanted to make money. So they sort of like did their thing the way, they did what corporations did and basically made it so that public transportation sort of, kind of fell by the wayside. And then they, paved all these roads and now everybody's got a car. And so like imagine, a world where that didn't happen. So I tweet once and it said, what if we are, I want to read what you have to say, what if we are some alien science project that they forgot about? I don't believe that. I've seen some things, space age cars and flying cars in my dreams, seen a lot of cool stuff. I mean, it's definitely possible. Views of omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent God. I will answer that. So back to the space age cars. It's funny you talk about cars. The whole auto industry thing. Thank you. Well, I guess let me talk about the science project thing. I don't, and a lot of people who've been following me for like a while now know this, and anytime there's any sort of information that people put out that tries to kind of bring down the human race, I absolutely reject it. I outright reject it because I just don't accept that. I don't think we are a science project that have been forgotten about. I think that this world is intentional. And everything about what we are going through is structured. There is an intelligence behind it. It's not chaotic, right? If it's something that has been forgotten about, then there would be chaos. But there is a sense of order. If you actually kind of try to see the forest outside of the trees, you'll see that there is order and things happen the way they happen because of the way they happen. So I don't subscribe to that. Now, somebody asked me, hey, how you doing? So somebody asked, I want to kind of answer space age cars and stuff like that. I spend a lot of time also thinking like when you're driving on the highway and we see all these cars and I think about like archaeologists. Remember my minor was archaeology, but I think about like, what is going to happen with all these cars? There are a lot of cars, right? Like we talk about it like our plastic and stuff like that. Like our cars are plastic. Like, God, we're so wasteful. like what is going to happen with all of these cars? But yeah, that's certainly, possible. And then somebody keeps asking, I appreciate you asking me, about my views on an omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient God. It's funny because one of the videos I just recorded talks about the God boulder paradox, and I will intentionally not tell you my conclusions that I made on that video. You just have to subscribe and watch it when I put it out. So it's like a horrible Vanna White. But the God question always comes up in every live that I do, in one way or another. And people ask, like, do you believe in God? Things like that. And my response is always kind of going to be the same. I believe in a higher collective consciousness. I believe that we are God. And you can actually go to my podcast. And the most recent episode is called God's Belly Button. And I would implore you guys to check it out if because so it's almost 2 hours long, but you can speed it up. But I took 2 hours to like break down your exact question about, my perception of God and omniscient, omnipresent God and things of that nature. And I'm using the story of the Bible of Genesis. But I believe that listen to that episode. You're not going to accept everything that I say. But if you genuinely want to know what I think, I took 2 hours, about 2 hours to really kind of pour my heart into that, my perception based on everything that I've read about Greek mythology, about the name of the podcast is Your One Black Friend, about, all of that. And it takes a little bit to get going, but it will, once you get to the middle and then towards the end, you start going, wow, okay, this is really interesting. So yes, and thank you, Time Traveler One, and you're super sweet. I appreciate you. There's a philosophical proof that a God could not be both omnipotent and omniscient. Yeah, so you're very welcome, Buna. So hold on to that, that statement, M. Havoc, because I kind of refute that, believe it or not, in a video that I will post at some point in time. But I guess a short condensed answer is that, to repeat, our collective consciousness would be God. But you have to separate the physical form from consciousness, right? You have to understand that this is just a vehicle, this is just a body, it's a vehicle of consciousness. There's another episode that I put out, thank you. There's another episode I put out about, like, is consciousness a symbiote? So I check out that episode as well. But if you look at humanity, if you look at consciousness across across the multiverse and all of the experiences that each sort of section of consciousness that is embodied in a body, in a vessel, like in a material vessel, every person has their own experience. Well, collectively, right, consciousness throughout the multiverse and throughout time as well would together as a hive mind be an all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-present God being, right? And all-present because time is not real. And so all of time is happening right now. So then it would make us, our consciousness, not the physical form, but our consciousness, omnipresent as well. So that was actually a really good answer. If I do say so myself. But yeah, that is my answer to that. We're all part of the great consciousness that across the multiverse. Exactly. So that's why every time somebody asks me what do I think about God, what do I believe in God, that is always going to be my answer, because it's, if you really pause and think about it and you separate consciousness from form, I'm gonna, somebody needs to like make that a t-shirt and I'll buy it. Separate consciousness from form. If you can separate consciousness from form and understand that you are consciousness, right? Not just you, but we all are, right? And we're part of a collective, right? Then we are all God, right? So there you go. And thank you. And I appreciate the question. Like, that was a good question. I love questions like that because they're deep and profound and they get people thinking. Yeah, I appreciate it. Like, these aren't the kind of conversations that we have, in the on a daily basis, right? Like, most people want to talk about, like, the weather or whatever. So great questions like that always like make me do a little happy dance. Do you think we humans are progressing slowly? Slowly is still something that's bound by time, right? Slowly is still a concept that's bound by time. Slow by whose definition, right? I'm sort of like, on one end it's like, so I was like researching like what's the oldest civilization that we know of, it's not, they're not like, it was like 5,000 6,000 years ago, maybe 10,000 years ago max, but there have been human beings that have existed exactly like us, like Homo sapiens for like, I believe they said it was like hundreds of thousands of years. So like 10,000, 100,000, there's a huge chunk of knowledge that is missing. You get what I mean? So what is happening there, right? What happened there that we don't know about? And then how also do you define progress, right? I don't know. I don't know the answer, and I'm still sort of like ruminating on that. But I do think that there is a lot of stuff that's happening right now, that I've noticed, that like a lot of changes that even like in the way human beings are becoming, that have changed even just in our lifetime, right? And I'm sure you guys have made these sort of observations as well. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, somebody says it's hidden from us. Exactly. Did you read about the new skull that was just found? I have not heard of that, but thank you for sharing that. I got to go check that out. Portrait's words, do you think we are making progression at a rate that our intelligence is contradicts? Can you please rephrase that question? I want to answer it, but I just want to make sure I'm answering the question that you're actually asking. And yes, real Sheila Dream just said only 9% of human history has been documented. Exactly. So what is going on? What are we missing? It says the Egyptians knew a lot, but they misuse the knowledge and blue avians try to give them. So I did a video today as well. It's actually good and kind of touched on that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is be on the lookout for my videos, because you guys will enjoy them. You will absolutely enjoy them. There's a lot of what you guys are talking about. Like I've already sort of recorded them, and they're ready to go. They're ready to go, guys. So, but the algorithm. So yeah. So I do spend a lot of time thinking about the future and the past, and our souls as well. But the technology we have and strides we make in this era, could we be doing more? Oh, that's a great question. Could we be doing more? I think I tend to just sort of take a step back from everything nerd talk and just sort of more look at, who am I to say, like, we should be doing better, or we could, like, if you look at everything that has happened, and where we are now, I think we're doing the best that we can for what has happened, right? I do think we have some issues that we need to kind of work past. For example, I saw a video on TikTok, and there are these guys in Oakland, and they, like, in the dark of night, go and they fill potholes, okay? And they're basically like, we pay all of this money, in taxes in California, and why are citizens having to go in the dead of night? And they're saying they have to cover their faces because they don't have permits. The fact that you need permits to fix something that the city isn't doing is a bit ridiculous. But they're going and they're fixing the road because our government is not doing what they're supposed to do. And I'm saying all of that to say that there are people in power that are kind of have their foot on the neck of the human race, right? Politicians or whatever. And there are things that we can start doing, the masses can start doing, uniting, working together to show ourselves, not even to show them, to show ourselves that we can live together in unison. We can live together in unison, work together, and sort of be better. At the end of the day, the 1%, right? The whatever you want to call them, they're the 1%, right? There's not a lot of them compared to like us, the masses. But if they keep us fighting each other, then we don't turn. It's like that movie Ants, right? We don't turn and realize, wait, we outnumber them. But that's the point. So the problem that we have right now, a lot of the problems that humanity has right now is because of that. Like I said, the artificial agents that are, manipulating, corporations, government, politicians, whatever it is, they are manipulating, the masses and it's not, we have to be the one to sort of change things. So, but at this point in time, look, I'm able to have this conversation with you, and we're able to talk to each other and share this information, right? Somebody just said 4% of the population is sociopath. That's 96% that aren't, right? So, we're able to share this information, and I've referenced all these different videos that I've seen that I think are opening the eyes of people, and people are starting to realize that maybe, the world doesn't have to be like this, right? The world doesn't have to be like this. We can do better. We can build better, right? We can maybe imagine something different. Get it? So I hope that answers your question. I'm missing some really good questions, so I'm going to go back and kind of see. Somebody asked what I think about COVID as a weapon for 2030. I don't know. That's kind of more of a watch and wait kind of thing, unfortunately. And then prediction in the U.S. the next few years. I try not to make predictions about the future because I subscribe to the multiverse hypothesis, and I believe that what your consciousness is not fixed to any particular dimension. So whatever sort of future you kind of expect, there is a chance that you can navigate your consciousness to a particular future. So for example, there are people who make predictions, and then the predictions don't come true. And then people are like, oh, they did not, they didn't know what they were talking about, or they made a false, prediction. But if you believe that we just have one future, then yes, that makes sense. But the future is constantly changing, and all possible outcomes exist as probabilities. All possible future outcomes exist simultaneously as probabilities, right? There's some that are higher probability and lower probability. So I don't really know which way the collective consciousness is going to sort of navigate ourselves towards. I'm hoping that at some point in time we can collectively wake up and realize that we can do better, and I'm hoping that is the path that we're going to go. But I just don't know. I do know that whatever it is, thank you. I do know that whatever future awaits humanity, as at least as a species and the vehicle, at the end of the day, our consciousness cannot be created or destroyed, right? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So we won't die. Your consciousness won't die. Your consciousness won't die. So I try to sort of keep that in the back of my mind when these sort of things kind of start to creep into my mind, as to okay, what is awaiting us? What is to understand that even if that happens, we are still going to be okay, right? So you read all you can about near-death experiences and things like that, reincarnation, all of this, there is substantiated evidence. It says consciousness does not die, right? So whatever it is that does happen, I do have this weird sense of something, an impending sense of something fucked up's about to happen. And I actually did a video about that too. At some point I gotta post it. But whatever it is that does happen, consciousness will survive. And we will learn the lesson. And maybe we look back to the past and try the shit all over again and see if we can, have a different outcome, right? So it helps if you don't look at life, at this reality as only one, right? Only one reality, because there's a myriad, right? Multiverse hypothesis. And then you don't look at yourself as only, the body, right? Look at yourself as consciousness. My name is Jolie. You can call me Joe. Somebody keeps asking who I am. That's who I am. But I'm also consciousness. So I'm consciousness who is operating the physical form, the physical vehicle that is called or known as Jolie, but you can call me Joe. So I want to go back to read your statement. Somebody keeps mentioning the law of one. I can't speak on that because I haven't read it, but I guess if you guys are interested, you can go ahead and check it out. Do you think there might be all to one future? And it's after all, I don't believe that there will be just one future. I believe there's a probable, like I said, probable, a myriad of probable future outcomes. And your consciousness kind of shifts through, like I said. Somebody said there was an earthquake. I didn't feel it. I'm in California. Okay. Who were you? If you mean who was I in previous incarnations, I kind of hinted at that in one of my videos. I believe that leave California, you can create another state. I believe are Marvel movies onto something. Something big is going to happen. My conclusion is that earthquake in California. Oh, okay, I understand now. I don't mean to scare you. Don't be afraid. So somebody asked me who I was in the past. And my response to that is that I want to like rephrase the question and say, like, let me answer it. One, read the book Same Soul, Different Bodies by Brian Weiss. I mentioned it a couple times already in this live. Check it out. I think you'll like it. Two, I'm moving around. I didn't fart. That's my chair. Welcome back. So I believe that you can, this is going to sound wild, but I do believe that consciousness, or I do think that consciousness can simultaneously inhabit more than one vessel, more than one physical form. But in my past, I have this sort of feeling or memory of being a Hindu man who had lived in like Victorian era, like the Victorian age, in London for a very long reason that I'm not going to kind of delve into here on the live. But my life has sort of like pointed me in that direction of who I was, or at least the vessel or body, vehicle, whatever terminology you want to use, in a past incarnation. And I sort of wonder if a future incarnation of, you know, my soul, consciousness, psyche, whatever you want to call it, mind, whatever label you want to use, has to be some sort of physicist, because it's interesting, the loop, because my life started with like, this incarnation started with like a deep invested knowledge and understanding of like Eastern religion, Eastern philosophy, even though I was born in like West Africa. And as I've gotten older, and not even just born in West Africa, but I was raised Christian. My father's a pastor. I went to Catholic school, so super religious upbringing. But as I've gotten older, I'm starting to sort of gravitate more towards, quantum physics, and sort of melding the two, Eastern philosophy and physics, quantum physics. And so it makes me believe, or makes me think, that a past incarnation was obviously like a Hindu, practitioner, and then a future incarnation will be, having something to do with physics or things of that nature. But it pays if you pay attention. Meditation helps, but it pays if you pay attention to everything. Somebody just said BS. Well, thank you. I appreciate your kindness. And I do appreciate you actually coming into the live and interacting. So sweet. So that is sort of my answer, my very long answer to that. And somebody said, do I think that the Marvel movies are onto something? If you're talking about like the Tesseract and things of that nature, probably. It's been a while since I watched a lot of Marvel movies, so if you want to like extrapolate upon that and what you mean by that, I'd appreciate it. But definitely do believe that, writers and things like that, and I've kind of talked about this in some of my videos as well, have the ability to sort of tap into the Akashic records and might see, things that, see things that, I guess, await us in the future, if that sort of makes sense. Okay, so thank you for your kindness, Chasing Sunset Forever. I like your username. So yes, and yeah, it is what it is. Have you ever heard Nam Myoho? No, I have not. It said yes as a demon incarnate. No, don't call people demons. Let's not do that. It's okay. Somebody said, what's my education? So like I said earlier, I already answered the question, but I'll answer it again. I majored in psychology, and then I minored in anthropology. But I am self-educated. I read profoundly. And ever since college, I have been educating myself. And like I said in a previous, or I should say earlier, what I do is I read about 3 to 5 books a week. And I use 2 apps, Audible, and I apologize if you guys heard this before, but I have to answer the question. She called her sister. So I use Audible and I use VoiceStream. The reason why I use VoiceStream is because VoiceStream allows you to turn any PDF into an audiobook. And I do that if there's a book that I want to listen to, but Audible does not have for whatever reason. So I'd recommend that. And then most importantly, I've trained my mind to listen at 3 to 3.5x speed, depending on the narrator or the book. And then I'll take a book and I'll re-listen to the same book over and over again. And to the point where I'll like memorize a book. So that is why I know a lot of the stuff, is because I'm constantly listening to books or constantly reading, whatever you want to call it. The second book is called Voice Dream app. It's a one-time fee. It's not a subscription. And somebody just said, wow, interesting. I think I found out that the reason why I'm able to do that is because like I have ADD. So like my brain, by speeding it up that fast, it forces my mind to focus on what is being said. And I didn't just start, the app is Voice Dream. Sorry guys. Voice like VOICE, and then dream like I'm dreaming. One-time fee, and then you're good to go. But by listening to that fast, and actually will listen to books when I paint. And just my mom was like, how can you paint and listen? And I was like, I don't need to think to paint because I'm painting, like I'm creating. You don't need to think to paint. But when you're listening to a book that fast, like you have to focus. And trust me, I go back all the time. When my mind shifts, I will like rewind it. There's like a button you can, Voice Stream. You can program it, especially on Audible, to jump back either a minute or I think 45 seconds or 30 seconds. And every time I catch myself, Audible is the first app. Like it's AUDIBLE. So when I catch my mind shifting or going off in some tangent, I'll shift it back, rewind it like the last 60 seconds, and I'll make myself listen to it again. So in a sense, learning and listening to books actually becomes a medication, and meditation rather. I just read Fictional, my brain like merged the two. And not only that, it's also has been very helpful for my ADHD. Although by watching my live, it doesn't seem like I have it on the reps because I'm like jumping back and forth, but it has been very helpful for my focus and for my ADHD, because it obviously forces me to focus. And like I said, I use it as a meditation. Most importantly, when I'm listening to audiobooks, I can't listen to the voice in my head. You know that voice in your head that I've kind of talked about in separate videos that's always talking shit, that's always negative? Can't listen to that voice if you're listening to a book at 3.5x speed. So, so that's kind of like my hack and how I deal with not only like intrusive thoughts and negative thoughts and things like that, but also make myself meditate while learning. So I hope that helps. Do I time travel? I think we're all time traveling, right? Okay. Going back and forth. Let's see. I want to go back and read what you guys are saying. You did the same thing in Audible. That's awesome. Listening. Oh, and you paid. That's cool. Oh, wait. Yeah. Hey, you. How are you? Thanks for stopping by. Is the Alpha Tech Talk fictional? It is, guys. So earlier, thank you for watching my TikToks. It is fictional, guys. I thought I made that clear. I apologize after this live. I will go back and edit it. I'm sweating so much. I will go back and edit it. I put on the top of the video, it says conspiracy theorists of the future. And then I put in the caption, conspiracy theorists of the future at the year 2121 AD. So yeah, it is I don't think there's an alpha tech company. I hope they're not, and I hope they don't sue me. It was just something that it was like, I liked the story, and I presented it like a TikTok because it's, TikTok. And I'm starting to realize that some people are actually taking it seriously. It's just it's theoretical. Like, obviously we have conspiracy theorists now, right? And they're talking about different things. Could something like that happen in the future? Well, there's a lot of stuff happening right now, right? That could make something like that absolutely probable. And so that was what the video was meant to kind of illustrate. Like, could something like that happen? And yes, I am live. I normally don't go live during the week, as you guys, know. But I spent a lot of time on that video, like writing it out and everything like that. The conspiracy theories of the future video. And when I posted it, I realized like Instagram was like doing the most, like suppressing my stuff and not showing it. So I went live, because when you do lives, it like forces your content out to people. So that is why I'm doing live now. And I love, I love talking to you guys, but, could I be on your team? Sure. I don't have a team though, but, you need to do a whole short film. There are so many ideas in my head, and there's so many things that I want to do videos about, but there's also stuff that like, I don't know if I can talking about. You getting me ready? You're amazing, thank you. And there's stuff like I don't know like if I could talk about, because we live in this day and age now that really like you've got to be kind of mindful of like you've got to be mindful. I'm live, honey. I'm live. Sorry. like my husband. He hears me talking and he's just like opening the door. I'm live. Okay, I've sent him back upstairs. You'll hear him stomping through. I am sweating. Wow. I don't even know if I drank that much water today. Thank you for dropping by. Ready, open-minded. There are kids in these lives. Did I drop an F-bomb? I apologize. But I love water. Well, I'm making a lot of it. I have been doing the, I think I talked about that in my last live. I talked about the Wim Hof Method, where you like take a warm shower, and then at the last like the last 15 to 30 seconds of your shower, you like turn on the cold water. And that has been interesting and fun. But yeah, so there are lots of videos. Just observating their comments, the kids. You're fine. Cool. Cool. But yeah, let's see. Wim Hof breath is life changing. Yeah, I've really been enjoying doing that. I do it in the morning, the breathing, and then I do it at night as well, like right before I go to sleep, which is weird because sometimes I actually fall asleep while doing it, and like holding my breath, and then I wake up like, oh my God. So I don't think you're supposed to do that. Oh, thanks for the rose. Thanks for the rose, Bosie Flex. And I like your username. That's dope. So yeah, so the reason why I am doing the live right now, try the cold shower. Yikes, shock. Yeah, it's what does cold water do for you? Read the on Audible. It's on Audible. I cannot say as well as he has taken the time to write in the book. The book is called the Wim Hof Method. It is supposed to, very long story short, it is supposed to reduce inflammation in the body, and sort of regulate your immune system. So I would absolutely recommend that you check it out. That's very, very short. It's also like a meditation. It's supposed to heal your body, things of that nature. I would recommend you check out, at the very, very least, read the sample, listen to the sample on Audible. And I think Audible's actually doing a special right now. They don't pay me, guys, to say that. I just really like the app. But when I went to go buy a book today, I saw that they're doing like a 50% off special. And you get the first book, like for free anyway, or I think the first 2 books for free. But today's like Prime Day, so you guys can literally like get like a 6-month subscription or whatever for like half off or something like that. So, Audible should sponsor me the amount of money I give them every month. But it is a great company, and I like what they're doing because they're making information sort of accessible to a lot of people. As well. So if you have inflammation or things like that, inflammation in your body, or you have like autoimmune sort of issues, things like that, which is why I started doing it, I would absolutely recommend that you at the very least read about it. And in the last live time I talked about it, and they said that there's a bunch of videos about it on YouTube as well. And I think he's like has a Netflix special too. So please check it out. Wim, W-I-M, space Hof, H-O-F. Thank you. You have to ease into the shower. So I'll tell you what I do with the shower. There's also an app called Hoopla and Libby, through the City Library for free audiobooks. That's great information. So let me say that again in case people miss that. She the Mystic said. There are also apps called Hoopla and Libby through the City Library for free audiobooks. So please, guys, check that out as well. I can't speak on it because I've never used it, but that is great wealth of information. No sugar, inflammation from sugar as well. That is true. I do, my diet is actually very restrictive because of the autoimmune issues that I have. So I don't do like dairy, no wheat, no cane sugar, no alcohol, no caffeine, all of that. And then, thank you. Shout out to my shirt, and I'm sweating it. I'm sweating it out right now. And then easing out to the shower. So what I do for the shower is like I start off with a warm shower, not too hot, but warm, like, like a nice normal shower. And I have like, the water, like the cold water are on, and obviously the hot water. And then I slowly start, I don't know if you're supposed to do it this way. I can't go from hot to cold. Like my body will not like that. So what I've been doing is I just slowly start turning off the hot water, turning down the hot water. And then like eventually, like right when I'm getting close to the end where it's like, he said in the book, like 60 degrees is okay. So like, it doesn't have to be like ice cold. I'm just not ready to do that yet. Like at work, I've been doing this for like a couple of weeks now, I think, or like a week and a half, something like that. So I'm not ready to just like dive into like, okay, like, let's do it like ice cold. Like I'm not that cool. But I will turn it down where I'm like, all right, this feels like about 55, 60 degrees. And then like, I'll just like standing there and I'll count to like 30. And the fact that I've been able to do that, I'm actually like quite proud of myself because I like being comfortable. And the more you do it, the more you kind of get used to it. So I would absolutely recommend that, you guys check it out. And I want to read these comments. Los Angeles Library has a huge selection of amazing books all on the app. So check that out, guys. Hold on, I'm trying to point to the comment. Check out that comment. Yeah, there you go. It's audiobook for any book. Not all books have an audio version yet, unfortunately. But there are quite a lot of books that do. And like I said, if you are unable to find it on any like Libby or Hoopla or Audible, you can also download the VoiceStream app, and it's like a one-time fee, it's like $14, but literally any PDF you can turn into an audio book. Not only PDFs, guys, like Wikipedia pages, websites, articles, like anything that you can read, you can listen to it on VoiceStream. So that helps. I'm trying to like listen to like a news article or whatever. I don't want to sit there and like, I just want to like listen. It's helpful for that as well. So you pay the $14 and it's it's up front, but then you're not doing like subscription things. I don't like subscription things because it's like, why do I have to keep paying for something? I don't know what that's about. And I think the voice I use I believe is Will, is the AI voice that I use. So how you doing, Mr. Nuggetback? And then Aura Magic Magi asked, do I notice a difference? I noticed that the voice in my head, the intrusive voice or whatever, has been less like annoying, like interjecting. I also notice that I am less reactive. But I don't know if it's a combination of all the other things that I do, like meditating on top of that or whatever it is, or just trying to be more mindful or microdosing. I don't know, but that I have noticed. And I'm less sort of like I'm just more calm, and I'm not as cold all the time anymore. So I think it's certainly helping with like my sort of like regulatory sort of functions of the body, I think. And then what else am I noticing? Yeah, if I think of anything else, I'll let you guys know. Is praying meditating? Praying can be a meditation, of course, as long as it's like when you're essentially, meditation is just a focal, this is what I said in one of my videos, it's just a focal exercise. So every time, if you're repeating a prayer, right, and every time your mind shifts to something, like it's talking, you shift your mind back to the prayer, it can absolutely be a meditation. That's why like even an audiobook can be a meditation, because it's this is what I want to focus on, right? So if it's the book you want to focus on, or it's a prayer you want to focus on, a mantra, or even the breathing, right? So the Wim Hof, it's like, you breathe in, you breathe out, you breathe in, you breathe out. Well, even focusing on your breathing like that can be a meditation. It's a focus exercise. That's all meditation is. There's no sort of weird like esoteric sort of like spiritual whatever. It doesn't have to be that if you don't want it to be that. For some people it's that, and that's okay, but it doesn't have to be that, right? I've been meditating and didn't realize it. Well, yeah, as long as you're mindful and you focus on like, okay, like this is what it is, and if my mind shifts, I'll shift it back. Just shift it back. It's whatever works for you. Okay, so focus. All right, guys, so I got a blast. But I do appreciate you guys stopping in. I will do another live this weekend, or like if I post it, thank you Oshi for the rose, appreciate you. But if I post a video, and not that I'm like trying to like, you know, sabotage myself, I will post this video on my YouTube. I apologize. Actually, we'll post two of these. This live, and then the live I did on Sunday that I haven't posted yet. I need to post it. So if you guys subscribe to my YouTube, you will get this live and the other live from this weekend as well. Appreciate you guys all stopping by. I will definitely probably do a I will definitely do a live this weekend. And then if I post a video and like it doesn't, you know, do well, then I'll pop in the live again to like boost it, because F the algorithm. So yeah. And I think what I'm going to talk about on this weekend's live, I think is going to be called like Hell is Other People. And we're going to talk about like I would like to talk about being reincarnated with the same people over and over again. So I'm going to post a video that kind of supports that, and then we're going to like talk about it. So I don't know when I'm going to post that video because it's already recorded. I just got to post it. Then we'll talk about that as well. So appreciate you guys. Subscribe to the YouTube. Thank you, Time Traveler 100. You're always so sweet, and I appreciate you. And all the guys that pop by, Nerd Talk, and all the great questions, as well as She the Mystic. Appreciate your suggestions. You guys are awesome. I gotta bless. Bye.